Have you ever wondered how the view of serial killers have changed throughout the years? When it had become prominent, especially in American culture, people were in fear of what would happen next. These serial killers were not looked into as much and were seen as these terrible monsters. Over time, the view of serial killers has changed a little. People are now looking into the psychosocial way these killers are structured. A lot of people are fascinated in what and how these people do what they do. Not that they would mimic the terrible things that they have done, but they want to know more about what is behind these actions. That gives more of an understanding for this worldwide epidemic that taunts our society. There are many people who devote their lives to studying these individuals. More ways people do this that are not as professional include memorabilia, podcasts, and blogs. This creates a whole new genre for serial killers in this generation, and we will see what that means for our society. Serial killing has been evolved since the beginning of time. It may have changed meanings depending on how society had been during that time. There have been many different views of this phenomenon by various people as well. Serial killers have been defined as a perpetrator who murders 3 or more people over a period of time. By giving this definition, we are able to see the extent in which we are dealing with concerning these individuals. Of course, the actions of these perpetrators are looked down upon in our society, but at the same time, many people have taken this view in another way. In more of the recent decades, professionals have taken the step to look at these killers in a different way. There are many views of serial killers in our society specifically. Some people may not think twice about why they did what they did and might say to have them put on the death penalty. Others might say that they deserve a second chance no matter what, and then others might not have an opinion on it at all. Schmidt explains that a serial killer was a figure that inspired not only fear and disgust, but also a mixture of fascination and even a twisted kind of identification. The author explains the popularity that American society has shown over the years through movies. These movies allow for others to have a different perspective in hopes of seeing the true meaning behind these actions. It allows viewers to not only see what happened, but to look at what led up to it. Financial, family, biological, etc. are all factors that play into the actions taking place. Some people might believe that all murders just happen out of nowhere, but that is not always the case. The panic back in 1900s, when these killers started to become more prominent among Americans, led these people to believe that fear was the only feeling you could have against these individuals. This all changed once pop culture began to create a new genre for these serial killers. This new genre began to include trading cards, books, and more types of films. In recent years, there have been memorabilia sold among people and podcasts created that can be found almost anywhere. Having this within our society allows for a creativeness that almost any person can relate to. A collector by the name Michael Channels stated to Rolling Stones, "Some of the people who collected memorabilia are unhinged, and some of them are even teetering on dangerous." He points out that true crime collecting is different from murderabilia. He also makes it known that this hobby did not create this issue of people who have collected becoming killers themselves. These people brought their own issues with them. It is important to know that not all people who are interested in this type of hobby are not in agreement of these terrible things these killers have done. They are just examining more into the idea in hopes of preventing this in the future. Many shows and movies have been based on well-known killers, as we know. This depiction has been going on for decades, as far back as when film was first invented. Lewis states in her article that typecasting the charming serial killer has also been a theme of public debate. Many people have this misconception of Ted Bundy, for example, as this womanizer in a sense, and that is how he's portrayed in movies about him. Her article brings up how a stalker standing on the side of a road would not be viewed as a highly looked person unless they were a young white male. So in this case, race and gender play a role as well. However, as many people do not see, Bundy was not this special person that was very intelligent, and he did not have this mesmerizing personality that women could not resist. It is important to really look into the truth behind these killers, whether they are these fascinating individuals or not. That allows us to get a true sense of how these killers really affect us overall as a society and how we will take this into the future with us when wanting to improve the things that hurt us as humans. As a society over time, we have been able to open up our minds more to many things. In particular, we are able to view these serial killers in a different light. We do not just see the action taken, but rather we see what led to that action. This may make us realize that we as a whole need to change our own actions. By doing this, we are able to change what is wrong in our society as people. This could include the wrongdoings we do against people who do not deserve it. Although people may not think what happens to others affects them, it actually does in a way. Let us change and pay attention to what needs to be changed in order to help us prevent the casualties that happen every day.